Chosen one, this is not another motivational message. This is a classified spiritual briefing. Right now, in this exact moment, forces beyond your visible reality have aligned a window that will not remain open. You are not reading this by accident. You are here because ancient watchers have tracked your coordinates through years of suffering, through battles no one witnessed, through losses that nearly broke you. They have been counting down to this exact convergence point. What I am about to reveal is not theory. It is operational intelligence from the front lines of a war you have been fighting without knowing its true name. Heaven has scheduled your breakthrough, but the enemy has deployed its final distraction campaign to make you scroll past this moment. The door is open right now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now. And it closes in seconds, not days. Your entire life has been a preparation sequence for what happens in the next 10 seconds of decision. Every delay, every disappointment, every dark night was permitted to build the weight of this moment. You were never abandoned. You were being positioned. The silence you have felt is not absence. It is the holding of breath before deployment. They are watching to see if you recognize the signal. This is your activation notice. The countdown has already begun. Chosen one, like this video, subscribe, and comment, "I am ready," for a powerful surprise. The 10-second window protocol. Listen carefully, chosen one, because what I am about to explain operates on a timeline that does not bend to human comfort. There is a phenomenon occurring in the spiritual realm right now that ancient texts have coded in symbols, that prophets have seen in visions, and that most people will never recognize even as it passes directly before them. This is the 10-second window protocol, and it is not a metaphor. It is an actual realignment point in the fabric of time, where multiple conditions that were scattered across years suddenly converge into a single opening. Think of it as a cosmic combination lock, where every tumbler must click into place simultaneously. Your suffering clicked one into place. Your faithfulness during abandonment clicked another. Your refusal to become bitter clicked yet another. And now, in this moment, all the tumblers have aligned. The door is open. But here is what makes this different from every other opportunity you have encountered. This door is held open by forces that cannot maintain the opening indefinitely. Ancient watchers, beings assigned to specific breakthrough points in human destiny, are expending energy right now to keep interference at bay. They are holding back the forces that have opposed you for years, creating a clear pathway that exists only for seconds, not minutes, not hours, seconds. This is why it feels urgent. This is why something in your spirit is screaming at you to pay attention right now. The urgency is not manipulation. It is accurate spiritual intelligence. The structure holding this door open will collapse the moment you hesitate, not because heaven is testing your speed, but because the alignment that created the opening is temporary by design. Timelines are converging right now. One timeline leads to the breakthrough that will recontextualize your entire past. The other leads to a permanent divergence where the same opportunity never appears in this form again. You have been delayed before. Every delay up until this point was permitted, orchestrated even, because this moment needed to carry the weight of everything you have survived. If the breakthrough had come earlier, you would not have the capacity to carry what is about to be released through you. The enemy knows this. Forces opposing your assignment cannot stop the opening. Their authority does not extend that far, but they can delay you. They can fracture your attention. They can make you look away for just 10 seconds, and that is enough. The door seals automatically, not because heaven is cruel, but because the convergence point moves. This is not a reward being handed to you. This is a scheduled deployment moment, where you either step through or remain on the outside, watching the timeline where your breakthrough existed fade into what could have been. The heavenly silence before release. You have noticed it, chosen one, even if you did not know what you were noticing. The strange stillness that has settled over your life recently. The sudden absence of the noise that used to surround you. People who were constantly present have gone quiet. Opportunities that were loud have gone silent. Even the spiritual attacks that were relentless have seemed to pause. And in that silence, you have felt something. Maybe you interpreted it as loneliness, maybe as abandonment, maybe as the calm before nothing. But I am here to tell you what that silence actually is. It is not peace. It is containment. Heaven does not announce its final moves, because announcement creates interference. When a military operation reaches its most critical phase, communications go dark. Radio silence is enforced. Only essential personnel remain in position. Everyone else is ordered to step back, not because they are no longer important, but because what happens next must happen without distraction, without dilution, without the noise of well-meaning voices that would second-guess the precision of the moment. You are in that radio silence right now. Allies who were assigned to walk with you through preparation have been ordered to step back, not because they have abandoned you, but because your response to this moment must be unfiltered and binding. This is the last test of recognition. Chosen one. Can you act without reassurance? Can you move without the voices that used to confirm your steps? Can you recognize the door when no one is standing beside you pointing at it? Those who mistake this quiet for abandonment miss the activation entirely. They wait for the noise to return, for confirmation to arrive, for someone to tell them it is safe to move. But the nature of this level of breakthrough is that it requires you to move when everything is silent, when no one is watching, when there is no applause, waiting on the other side. Heaven is holding its breath right now. The watchers are motionless. The enemy is quiet, not because the war is over, but because they know that any movement from them would alert you to the significance of this moment. So they freeze. They let the silence settle. They hope you will interpret stillness as emptiness. But you need to understand what is actually happening in the unseen realm while your visible world feels like it has gone quiet. Battalions are in position. Interference has been temporarily suspended. A clear path has been carved through the chaos. And you are standing at the threshold, being given one chance to walk through without the usual noise, without the usual confirmation, without the usual support system. Because what you are about to step into requires a level of authority that only comes from those who can move in silence. The enemy's preemptive distraction campaign. Right now, chosen one, pay attention to what has suddenly appeared in your life in the last hours or days. Notice the minor crises that have erupted seemingly out of nowhere, the small emergencies that demand your immediate attention, the relationship conflict that flared up without warning, the financial hiccup that creates just enough anxiety to consume your focus, the sudden physical symptom that makes you wonder if something is wrong, the technology malfunction that frustrates you at exactly the wrong moment. These are not coincidences. These are coordinated strikes. The enemy does not expend resources on distraction unless the loss they are trying to prevent would be catastrophic to their agenda. You need to understand something. about how spiritual warfare operates at this level. The darker forces assigned against your breakthrough cannot stop the door from opening. They do not have that authority. What was decreed in the heavenly realm regarding your assignment has already been set in motion, and no demonic resistance can overturn it. But what they can do is make you look away for 10 seconds. That is their entire strategy right now. Not to defeat you, but to fracture your attention at the exact moment of alignment. Every distraction that has appeared in your life in recent hours was released deliberately. It was timed. It was deployed with precision, because the countdown to your breakthrough window is already underway, and the enemy knows it. They can see the convergence forming. They can feel the shift in the atmosphere around you, and so they release small fires, not big enough to destroy you, but perfectly sized to make you turn your head. If your life suddenly feels cluttered with minor chaos, it is not because you are under attack in the way you think. It is because the breakthrough is so close that the enemy is in panic mode. They are throwing everything they have at your attention span. They need you distracted for just 10 seconds. That is all. 10 seconds of looking at the wrong thing, of focusing on the minor crisis, of engaging with the distraction. And the door closes. Not because the door is fickle, but because the alignment window is that precise. Think about it. Chosen one. Why would the enemy care about your attention right now unless your attention was the key to something significant? They fear your awareness more than they fear your action, because once you become aware of what is actually happening, once you see the door, once you recognize the moment, your action becomes inevitable. But if they can keep you unaware, if they can keep your eyes on the distraction, if they can make you believe that the minor crisis is the most important thing demanding your focus, then they win by default. You walk past the door without ever seeing it. And the most brilliant part of this strategy is that the distractions feel legitimate. They feel like real problems that a responsible person should address. And they are real, but they are not urgent. They were made to feel urgent through spiritual manipulation so that you would prioritize them over the breakthrough moment. The sealed ledger of endured damage. There is a record, chosen one, that exists beyond your awareness. It is not kept in books you can read or files you can access. It is a sealed ledger maintained in the heavenly realm, and it contains every single loss you have endured, every betrayal you survived, every moment you were abandoned, every wound that cut deeper than anyone knew, every tear you cried in the dark when no one was watching, every time you chose to keep going when every logical reason said to quit. This ledger is not a record of your failure. It is a record of your clearance. Every entry is proof that you have the capacity to carry what is about to be released through you. Others were on this same path. Others were called toward this same breakthrough, but they were removed, not because heaven did not love them, but because the weight of this assignment would have crushed them. The pain you endured was not random. It was not punishment. It was authentication. It was the proving ground that verified your position in this operation. And here is what you need to understand about this ledger. It is reviewed only once. At the moment of breakthrough authorization, higher authorities examine the record to determine if the person standing at the door has been sufficiently tested to handle what is on the other side. This is not cruelty. This is precision. Because what you are about to step into is not a blessing in the way most people think of blessings. It is an assignment. It is authority. It is access to levels of power and influence that in the wrong hands would cause devastation. So the testing was necessary. The suffering was functional. Every loss authenticated your position. Every betrayal proved you could be trusted with something greater. Every moment of abandonment demonstrated that you were not dependent on human approval to fulfill your assignment. And now, the review is complete. The ledger has been examined. The Watchers have submitted their findings, and the authorization has been granted. Your breakthrough is not a maybe. It is not a possibility. It is a scheduled event. But here is the part that most people do not understand. The enemy cannot overturn the authorization. Once heaven has reviewed the ledger and granted clearance, no demonic force has the authority to cancel it. But they can delay you. They can make you miss the window. They can create enough confusion that you walk past the door without recognizing it. Your survival up until this point has triggered clauses in the spiritual realm that even the enemy cannot overturn. Contracts were signed in your favor through the blood you shed, through the faithfulness you maintained, through the worship you offered when you had nothing left to offer. Those contracts are binding, and the breakthrough attached to them is non-negotiable. But the timing is precise, the window is narrow, and your awareness is the activation key. The bloodline signal awakening. What I am about to tell you will sound impossible, chosen one, but it is the truth operating in the unseen realm right now. Your breakthrough is not just about you. It is about something older than you, something encoded in your lineage, something that has been dormant for generations, waiting for the exact moment when conditions would align for activation. You carry markers in your spiritual DNA that certain forces recognize, not by your name, not by your face, not by your accomplishments, but by pattern, by frequency, by the signal that your very existence emits into the spiritual atmosphere. This is why the resistance you have faced has been so intense, so personal, so relentless. It was not random opposition. It was inherited hostility. There are forces that opposed your ancestors, that fought against the assignments your bloodline was destined to carry, and that same opposition has been tracking you since before you were born. They recognized the pattern, they saw the signal, and they knew that if you ever awakened to what you actually carry, their agenda would be disrupted. So they attacked early. They attacked hard. They tried to break you before you could reach this moment, but they failed. And now, the awakening is beginning. This moment, this breakthrough you are standing at the threshold of, activates something dormant. It flips a switch in your spiritual genetics that cannot be unflipped. Ancient callings that were placed on your bloodline generations ago suddenly come online. Gifts that were buried under trauma and disappointment suddenly surface. Authority that was always yours but never accessed suddenly becomes available. And here is what makes this irreversible. Once the signal awakens, once the markers activate, once the dormant coding comes online, withdrawal is no longer permitted. You cannot go back to sleep. You cannot return to the version of yourself that did not know. The awakening is permanent, and every force in the spiritual realm knows it. This is why the countdown is so urgent. This is why the window is so narrow. Because once you step through that door, once you activate what has been dormant, the entire trajectory of your life shifts. Not just your life, your lineage. What awakens in you creates a ripple effect backward and forward through your bloodline. Curses that have operated for generations suddenly break. Patterns that have repeated in your family line suddenly stop. Access that was blocked for your ancestors suddenly opens, and you become the pivot point, the hinge upon which the entire history and future of your lineage turns. The false door trap system. Here is something you must understand, chosen one. Because the enemy's most effective weapon right now is not blocking your breakthrough. It is offering you the wrong door. Not every opening that appears before you is yours. Not every opportunity that presents itself is aligned with your assignment. And the most dangerous doors are the ones that look almost right, that feel almost aligned, that seem almost like the breakthrough you have been waiting for. These are false doors, and they are designed with one purpose: to exhaust your urgency, to make you move towards something that looks like your breakthrough but leads nowhere, so that by the time the real door appears, you are too tired, too skeptical, too disappointed to recognize it. You have been through this before. You have seen doors open that you thought were finally the moment, only to find them leading to dead ends. You have felt the rush of hope when an opportunity appeared, only to watch it collapse. And each time, something inside you died a little. Not your faith completely, but your urgency, your ability to respond quickly when the real moment arrives. This was the trap. The false doors were never meant to be your breakthrough. They were meant to train you to hesitate when the real door appears. But here is what the enemy did not account for. That same process also trained you to detect the difference. Every false door taught you something about recognition. Every disappointment sharpened your discernment. And now, when the real door appears, something in your spirit knows. It does not feel like the others. It does not negotiate with you. It does not try to comfort you or convince you or wait while you process. The real door commands. It does not ask if you are ready. It does not give you time to prepare. It simply opens and expects you to move. And here is how you know the difference. The false doors always want to be a conversation. They want you to weigh the pros and cons, to seek advice, to make sure everyone agrees, to feel completely certain before you step through. But the real door does not work that way. The real door operates on immediate recognition and immediate response. It appears and it expects you to move now. Not because heaven is impatient, but because the alignment that created the opening is temporary. Those who hesitate try to turn the door into a conversation. They want heaven to persuade them, to give them more information, to make them feel safe about what is on the other side. But heaven does not persuade at this level. Heaven executes. The command is given. The door opens. And your response determines everything. There is no negotiation because the opportunity is not dependent on your comfort. It is dependent on the alignment of conditions that are beyond your control and will not remain in place while you deliberate. The Watcher's final consent. There are beings, chosen one, assigned to watch over certain breakthrough points in human destiny. They are not guardian angels in the way most people think of them. They are higher authorities, gatekeepers of significant transitions, monitors of operations that involve irreversible shifts in the spiritual realm. And they do not intervene in human affairs unless the risk is irreversible. For most of your life, they have watched from a distance. They have observed your choices. They have tracked your progress. They have noted your failures and your recoveries. But they have not intervened because the stakes were not yet high enough to require their involvement. But now, something has changed. The Watchers have moved from observation to active participation. Their consent has been given. And this is how you know that what is happening right now is not just another moment in your journey. It is a pivot point that alters multiple outcomes beyond just your own. When the Watchers give consent, it means that your choice now affects more than your personal destiny. It means that what you do in the next few seconds will create ripples across timelines you cannot see, affecting assignments you are not aware of, influencing outcomes in other people's lives who are connected to your breakthrough in ways you do not yet understand. This is why the pressure has intensified instead of easing. Most people assume that as they get closer to breakthrough, things should get easier. The path should become clearer. The obstacles should diminish. But that is not how it works at this level. As you approach the door, the pressure increases because the stakes increase. The Watchers are not protecting you from failure. They are protecting you from interference. They are holding back forces that would try to stop you, creating a clear pathway that requires more energy to maintain than you can imagine. And their consent signals something else. What happens next becomes permanent record. It is not erased. It is not redone. It is not given a second chance in the same form. Your choice right now, your response to this moment, will be recorded in the archives of your spiritual history as the moment when you either stepped into your full assignment or walked past it. The Watchers do not judge this. They simply observe and record. They hold the door open for the allocated time, and then they step back. The door closes, the alignment moves, and the record shows what you chose when the moment arrived. The memory rewrite effect. When you step through this door, chosen one, something will happen to your memory that you are not expecting. Your past will not be erased, but it will be recontextualized. Events that felt random will suddenly reveal operational logic. Suffering that seemed meaningless will show its strategic purpose. People who betrayed you will be recognized as unknowing participants in your preparation. Losses that devastated you will be understood as necessary removals of things that would have prevented this breakthrough. This is not about pretending the pain did not happen. This is not spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity. This is about seeing the full picture for the first time. Imagine you have been looking at a massive painting from 2 inches away. All you could see were brush strokes that seemed chaotic, colors that clashed, shapes that made no sense. But the moment you step back and see the entire canvas, you realize every brushstroke was intentional. Every color clash was designed to create depth. Every shape was part of a larger image you could not see when you were too close. That is what happens when you step through this door. Suddenly, your entire life comes into focus. The years you thought were wasted reveal themselves as training. The relationships that fell apart show themselves as divine protection from paths that would have destroyed you. The opportunities you missed are recognized as doors that were never yours to begin with. And the suffering, oh, the suffering that nearly broke you, is revealed as the exact calibration needed to prepare you for the authority you are about to carry. But here is what you need to understand. This shift in perception cannot be undone. Once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Once you understand the purpose behind the pain, you cannot go back to believing it was meaningless. Some people will feel suddenly distant to you after you step through, not because you have become arrogant or different, but because their role in your life has expired. They were assigned to walk with you through preparation, but they are not assigned to walk with you through what comes next. And you will feel this shift without anyone explaining it. They will feel it too. Conversations that used to flow will feel forced. Connections that used to feel deep will feel surface level. And you will know, without being told, that a chapter has closed. This is not abandonment. This is completion. Their assignment in your life is fulfilled, and new alignments are forming with people who are assigned to the next phase. The cost of skipping. Let me be very clear with you, chosen one, about what happens if you allow this moment to pass. Skipping this door does not punish you in the way you might think. Heaven does not strike you down, or remove your calling, or condemn you to failure. But something does happen, something quieter and more devastating than punishment: reallocation. What was meant to pass through you, what was assigned to be released into the world through your obedience, will be moved elsewhere. The breakthrough that had your name on it will be transferred to another vessel who is willing to move when the moment arrives, and you will feel it, not as dramatic loss, but as a persistent echo, as a haunting sense of almost, as a weight that sits in your chest, reminding you that you were standing at the threshold of something significant, and you stepped back. You will live a decent life. You may even live a good life, but you will always feel the absence of what could have been. It will show up in quiet moments when you are alone with your thoughts. It will whisper to you when you see others walking in the authority that was supposed to be yours. It will haunt you not with what you lost, but with what you chose not to reach for. And here is the part that makes this so final. The door does not reopen in the same form, ever. The exact convergence of conditions that created this window will not align again in your lifetime. Different opportunities will come, other doors will appear, but this specific breakthrough, this particular elevation, this exact assignment, it was a one-time offering. Once the alignment passes, once the window closes, once the countdown reaches 0, that particular configuration of destiny is gone. You cannot earn it back through better behavior. You cannot pray it back through increased faith. You cannot manifest it back through more positive thinking. It was scheduled for now, and now is passing. While you read these words, heaven records the refusal without argument. There is no debate. There is no appeal process. The watchers note the closed door and move on to the next assignment. And you are left with the life you chose by choosing hesitation over action. This is not meant to create fear. This is meant to create clarity. You need to understand the weight of this moment so that 10 years from now, you are not the person sitting in regret, wondering why you let the most important door of your life close while you were busy looking at distractions that do not even matter anymore. The moment of no witnesses. This decision is being made in privacy for a reason. Chosen one. No one is watching you right now. No one knows you are at this crossroads. There will be no applause when you step through. No congratulations when you make the choice. No audience to validate that you recognized the moment and responded. This is intentional. This is by design. Because validation would contaminate the choice. If others were present, if approval was available, if recognition was guaranteed, you would never know if you moved because you truly saw the door or because you wanted to be seen moving through it. Heaven is removing every external motivator right now so that what happens next is purely between you and the assignment. Those who require recognition were never meant to carry this level of authority. Power at this tier moves quietly. It does not announce itself. It does not seek approval. It does not wait for permission from those who would not understand the assignment, even if it was explained to them. Think about every significant move of God throughout history. The calling came in private. The decision was made alone. The step was taken without witnesses. Moses at the burning bush. Mary receiving the announcement. Abraham leaving everything he knew. The pattern is consistent. The most important transitions happen when no one is watching because the person must be willing to move based solely on internal recognition, not external confirmation. This is your burning bush moment. This is your annunciation. This is your call to leave everything familiar and step into something you cannot fully see yet. And it is happening right now while you are alone, while no one can influence your decision, while there is no social pressure either for or against action. Just you and the door. Just you and the moment. Just you and the choice that will define everything that comes next. If you move, you will move because something in you recognized the signal. If you hesitate, you will hesitate because you needed external validation that will never come at this level. The lack of witnesses is not a bug in the system. It is a feature. It is the final filter that separates those who can truly see from those who need to be shown. Those who require the crowd to confirm the moment will always be followers, but you are not called to follow. You are called to lead. And leadership at this level begins with the willingness to move when no one is there to tell you that you made the right choice. The immediate repositioning. Here is what happens the moment you step through, chosen one, and it will disorient you before it makes sense. Breakthrough at this level does not elevate you, it relocates you. Your physical surroundings may remain exactly the same. You may still be in the same house, the same job, the same city, the same relationships. But your role within all of those environments will shift so dramatically that it will feel like you have entered a parallel reality. Access replaces struggle almost instantly. Things that required enormous effort before suddenly flow with ease. Doors that were locked for years suddenly open without you even knocking. People who ignored you suddenly seek you out. Opportunities that seemed impossible suddenly appear without you chasing them. And the confusion this creates is part of the process. You will question if it is real. You will wonder if it is temporary. You will look for the catch, for the hidden cost, for the trap waiting around the corner. But there is no catch. You simply stepped through the door at the precise moment of alignment, and the repositioning that was scheduled in the heavenly realm is now manifesting in your visible reality. Old obstacles will vanish without explanation. You will not have to fight them. You will not have to overcome them. You will simply wake up one day and realize that the thing that tormented you for years is just gone. Not because you defeated it, but because your relocation moved you beyond its jurisdiction. This is how authority works at higher levels. You do not fight every battle. You outrank the opposition, and they lose permission to engage you. But here is what will disorient you the most. The people around you will not understand what happened. They will see the shift, but not comprehend the cause. They will notice that you are different, but not be able to articulate how. And some of them will become uncomfortable with the change because your repositioning exposes their stagnation. They will try to pull you back into old patterns, old conversations, old problems that no longer belong to you. And you will have to make choices about who moves forward with you and who remains in the chapter you have closed. This is not cruelty, this is clarity. Repositioning always involves separation, because not everyone is assigned to the territory you are entering. The door closing event. The closing is as real as the opening, chosen one, and it happens just as swiftly. You will feel it in your body before your mind fully registers what has occurred. There is a physical sensation that accompanies the sealing of a spiritual door. A shift in the atmosphere, a change in the pressure, a subtle but undeniable sense that a window has passed. Those who are aligned with your assignment will move with you. They will feel the urgency. They will respond without needing full understanding. They will step when you step because they are synchronized to the same spiritual timing. But others will stall inexplicably. They will have reasons that seem logical, concerns that seem valid, hesitations that seem reasonable. And you will watch them stand still while you move forward, and there will be nothing you can do to bring them with you, because their stalling is not a mistake. It is revelation. It is the exposure of who was truly aligned and who was simply present. The door closes and sorts simultaneously. And here is what you need to understand as you stand on the other side. This is not the end of the war. You have not arrived at peace. You have not reached the place where struggle ceases and everything becomes easy. What you have done is accept a promotion within the war. Greater authority means greater responsibility. Higher access means higher targets. Increased power means increased opposition from forces that now recognize you as a legitimate threat. The countdown was mercy. It was heaven giving you time to prepare, to be tested, to be authenticated. But what follows the breakthrough is responsibility. The weight of carrying what was released through your obedience, the accountability of stewarding the authority you now possess, the assignment of becoming the answer to prayers that people you have never met are praying right now. You stepped through the door. The alignment held. The repositioning is in motion. And now, the real work begins.